Good morning. It's Saturday morning in the shop. Wearing the hat and the furnace is on because it's pretty cold outside and I haven't warmed up yet, even though the shop has. I don't know. Leans me towards thinking that the problem is in the rings on that cylinder. So I'll pull it apart and we will take a real good look at the head gasket in that area. Take a good look at the valves, make sure it hasn't dropped a valve guide. And then I may need to pull that piston out and take a look at the rings or look at the walls of the cylinder, things like that. I can definitely see oil, makes sense, flow down the tube. All right, let's start tearing it apart. Let's do a little walk around. I'm sure it's different if you are a mechanic who does this every day, but that's just so cool to see an engine apart. Boxer engine, horizontally opposed, is kind of cool. Makes me feel like I'm working on a Porsche. Okay, so what am I seeing? Passenger side is really pretty nice and dry on top. I don't have enough experience to know for sure, but this looks to me like a single layer gasket, which makes me think this is the original head gasket, which kind of good that the car hasn't been apart yet. Top side's nice and dry here. As we move over to the driver's side, definitely see things more oil soaked. Evidence of leaking in the front, I'm guessing. Looks like it's more wet by the valve cover gasket than by the head gasket. Again, looks like a single layer head gasket. The single layer ones were the ones that came stock and were notorious for failing. My understanding is in the turbo versions, they put a better head gasket, which was a multi-layer steel MLS. And so if you put the multi-layer steel one in, even in the non-turbo naturally aspirated engine, which is what this is, that can solve the head gasket failing problem. Again, things are looking overall pretty dry by the block. Timing set is off. A Gates model was installed about 8,000 miles ago. I don't know how good quality that is. The engine that is currently in the car has a Napa brand timing belt in it that was brand new installed with new water pump and bearings and pulleys and things like that. So I needed to decide. This one's 8,000 miles old. The one in the original car is brand new from Napa. I got to decide whether I want to spend 300 bucks to put a Subaru original one in or run one of these. I'm leaning towards running one of these. Let me know what you would do. Water pump is out, and oil dipstick, things like that. Again, this needs to be cleaned up. Definitely some oil seeping from the top. The oil pan is pretty good. A little bit of surface rust, but not too bad. Definitely leaking and wet around the oil filter. So let's rotate this thing up and see what the bottom looks like. A little more coolant leaking out. And a little bit of oil. So top side looks nice and dry. Bottom side definitely oily. Could be coming from the bottom of the head gasket, could be coming from around the oil filter. Furnace just kicked on. If it's a little loud, sorry. Could also be leaking from the oil pan gasket, so we want to reseal all of that while we got it apart. Interestingly enough, the driver's side, which was much messier on top, is really not much worse on the bottom. So definitely oil leaking out the front. The 2005 Subaru that my daughter has, a very rusty oil pan. So I'm glad to see that this one's in decent shape. All right, I'm really curious to pull these heads and see what things look like. So let's start on this side, and then we'll see what we find. I gotta make some room on the bench for things. I'm trying to, this whole assembly came off, and I think I will just leave it like that and put it back on. The only thing I want to investigate is this master plug. I think I showed you this earlier. It looks to have a bunch of soldered splices in it. So I need to check whether that's the way they are or whether that concerns me. And then I'm just cataloging parts, particularly these bolts that hold the timing cover chain on. No, not chain, sorry. The timing belt cover on. Those rust out and strip, so I want to wire wheel these and get them all nice and clean. But trying to keep things organized. All right, let's keep going. First cylinder head is off, and you know, I'm interested to read this and learn as much as I can. I'm not an expert, so please comment below if there are things that I'm missing. Overall, I don't see any glaring problems. Doesn't seem to be too much soot built up inside the cylinder head. I see a little bit on the intake valve here. Exhaust valves look pretty similar. I'm not seeing any huge evidence of problems with previous damage or people that have ground it down or done crappy decking jobs. So that I find encouraging. All right, here's what we see with a head gasket. As I look around the whole cylinder sealing surface, I don't see any huge problems there on either side. When I get to the bottom here, there's definitely wet with oil. Might be from me taking it apart, might be from this area of the gasket. Looks like the coating has peeled. Getting a little bit of coating peeling that point and that point. Some down here. I think that's a coolant passage. Cylinders don't look too sooted. Overall, don't look bad. Moderate lip. Not a huge lip there, showing too much wear. I'll have to take a better look at the cylinder wall. Maybe evidence of some cross hatching there yet. All right, let's turn this over. I haven't flipped this over yet. Definitely the coating is failing on the head gasket. Yeah, I'm definitely glad I'm replacing the head gaskets. Got a lot of cleaning to do, but I'm hoping, I do plan on getting the heads resurfaced. And hopefully I don't have any dropped valve guides or anything like that, that I can just get them cleaned, checked out, and resurfaced, put new head gaskets in, and then run them. That's the plan. Time to move on to the other side. Cylinder number 2 is off. A couple interesting things, and I don't really know what they mean. You can see this is definitely wet with oil, because that's the one that I poured some oil down the spark plug hole when I was doing the leak down test. Not seeing any huge problems in the cylinder. Valves look fine. This is the one that did do well on the leak down test. This intake valve looks a little different than the others. I'm not sure why that is, if that's a coating that's peeling up or not. See little flecks of what I assume is head gasket remnant on here, but overall the bottom of the cylinder head looks good to my visual eye. Looking at, again, all oily, because this is the one I put a little oil down. Definitely starting to see head gasket, or definitely seeing surface coating failure on the head gasket. Maybe not quite as bad as the other one on this side. Don't know why this cylinder was leaking pressure on the... All right, I haven't flipped this over yet. Oh yeah, most of the coating is gone. So if I hold this way, you know, this I think is within the coolant passage. So this failure here would be in that area. This failure would be up in this area of the block. Not seeing it break through. I'm assuming this is an oil passage, which would be over there. Definitely could look like it was seeping out that area. Yeah, how would you read this? What information would it give you? If I look at the... Let me grab a flashlight a second. This is the cylinder that was the lower leak down. Cylinder wall looks good to me. I don't see problems. So I'm not sure what my next step is to figure out what to do. Hi, I think, not hi, don't say hi. I've been talking to you the whole time. Why do I do that? I'm gonna say a few more times, that's what I do well. So I think this is where I'm gonna wrap up this video for today. I've got the block torn apart, the heads are off. I think my next steps are post this video. Hope there's some great comments from people about how they would read the condition of the block and suggestions they have for how I might address the fact that I had a leak down issue in that cylinder. I have parts on order. I've been following a lot of Mr. Subaru 1387, I think is his YouTube channel name. He's a Subaru mechanic from the South. Seems passionate, knowledgeable, seems to care about doing a good job. He convinced me the value of just using quality Subaru parts, and they're a little more expensive, but not awful expensive. And this is an engine that I really hope to get another 100,000 miles out of. So I ordered a complete reseal kit for it, which unfortunately comes with the original single layer gaskets. So then I had to spend another 50 bucks each to buy 2 of the newer MLS, which I think are for the turbo engine Subaru 2.5 liters. So that way I'll get the improved head gasket to put in there. Those are in order, will be here in a week or two. I need to do some research and find a good shop to take a look at the heads and deck them for me. I need to do some cleaning on the parts. I'm gonna spend an hour or two in front of the bench grinder with a wire brush on it, cleaning up bolt heads and coolant necks and fittings, and just get everything nice and clean. I think I might post on Facebook Subaru groups as well about my cylinder leak down test, just to get suggestions as to whether I don't know whether I need to pull that cylinder head out to look at the rings. I don't think that would do anything if it looks good and I cleaned it and put it back together. Just put the bearings and the rod back on. I think that should all be fine, but I haven't done that before. So would love any input that you have, suggestions. Thanks for following along. Super cool to see an engine block like this torn apart and sitting on the engine stand. It always amazes me a little bit how small they are once you get them down to just the block. Oh yeah, a little more leaking. So there she is. Thanks for following along. Thanks for being part of Third Stall Garage. I appreciate it. Have a great day. Be kind, be nice to one another, and God bless.